Hello viewers, today is now the 4th day of VEDA, April 4th, vlog every day in April, and you guys, at this point in time, in my real life right now, you still have not seen any of my April videos, because I was going to edit some last night and get them posted, but I went to bed really early. I was very tired. Today's the 4th, and I went to a couple of lectures by Professor David Abram. Do you guys know him? He's an author, and he is doing a lecture series on, well, he just finished. It was a series of 3 lectures over 2 days called the Ecology of Wonder, part of a religious series, but he was talking about the environment and religion, and so naturally I went. I had to miss the one last night because I had my meetings at my church, but I went to the 2nd and 3rd lecture today. The one at noon was about climate change and the spirit, and he focused on air and our breath, and how various cultures have, and I don't have my notes on me, they're in my car. I haven't shown you where I am yet, but you might see some things behind me that give you a clue. So I have my notes, I can talk to you more about it some other time, but just for the vlog, he was talking about how various cultures have different words and different ways of thinking about it, but have this concept of a great spirit, which kind of goes back to breath. And the way that the entire world around us, and see, as the wind kicks up, the wind is everywhere around and air is in everything, and we need air to breathe, obviously, and so we are constantly taking in and out of ourselves this thing that is also part of everything and around everything and part of everyone else. So that's what his first lecture basically touched on. I mean, I've got a lot more specific notes, some specific things that he said that I would love to talk to you about later on. The second lecture was called World of Wonder Between the Animal and the Animate Earth. In that one, he was talking about all of these really cool things that animals can do that we really don't understand, like that hawk flying up above right now. The way that animals that migrate can track their migration pattern over the land, like monarch butterflies specifically. Animals have internal clocks, internal calendars, and really we do too if you think about it, but we rely on external ones. There's another one for you. But we rely on external tools and things that we've come up with to make our lives easier. I mean, honestly, we do it because it makes our lives easier, but if we didn't have any of those things, we would attune ourselves back to a natural internal calendar or clock. But anyway, so it was touching on that and how animals can do these great things, the fact that they have maintained their connection with the earth, and that the earth is not just some thing, object floating around in space, it's actually got sort of an animate quality to it. We interact with it, and it tells us things. And I actually got to speak with David a little bit, I'm calling him by his first name, Professor Abram, and during the question and answer, though, is what I want to really talk to you about. People brought up things like how Christians often have difficulty thinking of the environment as something that they should be caring about because God gave humans dominion over the earth, and things like that. And so someone asked about that. Someone mentioned that a big problem is the way that some people want to get to heaven, which is this other place, not here, and it's better, and this place is somewhere that we don't want to be. So it doesn't matter if it's crappy, because we know that heaven is the better place we want to get to, and that's a problem. And I know not everyone thinks that, but there definitely are some people who do. You have to admit that. Someone brought up the occult and magic, because David Abram considers himself a magician, and he did talk about magic a little bit. And so someone brought up the occult and magic and how things are very, secretive, secret orders, secret traditions. You have to be let into the mysteries. You have to be told the secrets and things like that. And so I wanted to speak to that topic, but it was time for questions to stop. So I went over, because I was going to talk to the person who asked that question, and David Abram actually came up behind me, so I ended up being able to speak to both of them about it. And my point that I really wanted to make to them was, as a practitioner of magic, I know that a lot of people do have the misconception, rather, that magic is supernatural, it is other, it is weird, it is secret, it is hidden, it is, you can only find it wearing a dark black robe and drawing certain symbols, and I admit there are people who do it that way, and that's fine. To me, magic in general, as an all-encompassing thing, magic itself is not so much secret in my book in the way that, you can't know it. If anything, it is hidden. This person said it's hidden and secret, and I said hidden, yes, secret, no. If it's a secret, it's only because you haven't tried to learn it. you haven't listened, you haven't tried to experience it, you know what I mean? And so a lot of things are still secret to me. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything. I mean, we know that. But it's not a secret in the way that, like, a lot of people use that word. You know, it's not something that you're not allowed to know. It's just something that we haven't gotten to yet. So hidden, yes. Honestly, I don't know. I asked David about it. Again, I'm using his first name because he was very personable. I asked him, I was trying to kind of get at what is his position on magic about being other or not. And what I said was, to me, what a lot of magic practitioners do now is not about the supernatural. It's not supernatural at all. Like, we don't understand why that word is used because it's about the natural. And that's what I told him. I grabbed the back of some chairs and I said, you know, it's this, it's that, it's everything we can see and touch and the things that we can't see, like the air. He was talking about how we can't see and we can't touch the air, but we feel it. So the point I wanted to get across was, don't talk about magic as this weird other secretive supernatural thing when we're not talking about the supernatural. We are talking about the natural, this, all of this. And what was really funny was the second lecture that he did at 2:30, the one about the animal and the animate earth, he started it talking about where he lives in New Mexico, and then he actually started talking about imminence, which we had just discussed, and I kind of piqued my interest a little bit, like, what's he talking about now? And then he said, in his lecture, he said, we are not talking about the supernatural, it's about the natural. I have no way of knowing if that was already written in his lecture notes, if that was already there, or if he was taking a cue from what I had just said. He didn't let on at all. He didn't say, like, oh, I was just talking to this person and I wanted to say. No, he didn't let that on at all. I thought there were two other guys who had been in that conversation with us who may have caught it too, and I turned around to look, but they had left. They didn't stay for the other lecture. So I could very well be, like, one of only two people in that room, three if you count Abram himself, one of only a few people in that room who might have known that I was the reason that he said that. So I thought that was really cool. But anyway, the main thing I want to talk to you guys about and why I'm out here right now is at the end of his second lecture, a woman, the woman who had asked the question about Christianity and having dominion over the earth and whatnot, apparently she is not Christian, because I went and gave her advice and I was trying to help her out with what some other Christians I know who are very concerned about the environment, how they think of it. I was trying to give her another way to focus on it to maybe help her, and she was like, oh no, I don't have that problem. I have a problem with Christianity. And I was like, okay, then why are you asking? But so after the second lecture, she said, and this is almost a direct quote, that a big problem about people not hearing about the environment is that, okay, so she was getting at the point where, like, a lot of people used to have to, you know, grow their own food, raise their own livestock, things like that. People used to have to be in that whole life cycle of nature and things like that, and now we don't have to anymore. So I know where she was coming from, but what she said was, people do not experience nature. Who does that? Who has nature? People don't live in nature. People live in cities. No one experiences nature. So again, I know that she was coming from the, you know, we don't all have to farm our own things anymore. We don't all have to grow our own food. Many of us choose to do that now, though. You see what I mean. There are cities now. There are people who go their entire lives without knowing how their food is grown and where their meat comes from and all of that kind of thing. But the statement that no one can experience nature really bothered me. Because, and you guys have seen videos where I have done vlogs on my college campus, which is the town that we were in. It is a rural town. The windows were open in the lecture room where we were, and you could see trees and blossoms and grass and bushes and feel the wind and see the sun right outside the window of where she made this statement. And so what really bothered me is, you know, if you're sitting in the middle of a city, if you're on top of a skyscraper, as David Abram was saying, then okay, I can understand a little bit more, but how dare you almost say that no one can experience nature when you were experiencing nature the moment before you walked into this man-made building, and the moment you walk out of it, you will be in nature, and what's more, all the people in that room are nature. I wanted to look at her and say, do you have pets? They're nature. Do you have any potted plants in your house? They're nature. Everything is nature. How can you? And so David's point was, you know, even a person up in the top floor of a skyscraper, if they jump up and down and experience that gravity, that pull toward the earth, that is our relationship with the earth. No matter where you are, you still have a relationship with the earth, and that is nature. And we are nature. Indeed. Who has nature? Who experiences that? Okay? So that's what I want to show you. This is one of my favorite places I know, it's a little weird for some of you who may not like to be in cemeteries. But this, my little car, but this is one of the most beautiful natural places that I can drive to. That's where I was just sitting. All people do not live in cities, my friends. People experience nature. And as I said, obviously, this is nature, but this is not all there is to nature. You are nature. See this? That's nature. If you do live in a city, I encourage you to either put in the comments or make me a video response showing some things maybe in your house, maybe right around where you live. Show me nature. Whether it is actually going outside and there being grass and trees, because dude, I've been to New York City. There's green there. Lots of cities have huge green areas. And when we were doing the techno-paganism topic on pagan perspective, the links that I gave you guys there from that video, I don't know if you guys have all seen it, the links that I went to there, the forums of people talking about techno-paganism, a lot of what they were saying was you can absolutely find nature in the city, because even cement, while it seems to be something perfect example, while people think of it as being unnatural because it's man-made or whatever, what is it really? If you break it down, what is it? Water? Sand? Basically, it's nature. Everything that we create is natural. So that's the techno-pagan argument was, even technology is natural because we made it, and we're nature. And so now I'm going to walk down this little trail that I've never been to. It's off of the cemetery, and there's this cool little, swampy area. And so, yes, I live in a rural area. Lots of us do. Between this spot where I am right now and the lecture hall that we were in is all farmland. I can't even. It's all nature. It really bothered me that she could make a statement like that sitting in the middle of so much of what people think of as typical nature. You know, if we were sitting in the middle of a city, a little bit more arguable, but still, obviously, I would have to disagree. So that's the major thing that I wanted to talk about in my vlog today, and it has been plenty long enough. So I will let you guys go, and I will see you tomorrow. This is all I'm doing today. I have no idea if you can see this on the camera, but I was just laying down on the ground right here in this area where there aren't any graves. This is a graveyard, by the way. I misspoke earlier and I said cemetery. And when I got up and looked toward the sun, I noticed the sun is reflecting off of all of these spider webs. What I'm seeing is all the way over there to at least right here where I am. There are just crisscrossed spider webs all along the grass. Talk about the interconnected web of all life. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.